There's a moment in your life, and maybe this is that moment right now, where everything begins to feel different. You can't explain it. You can't point to a single event, but something inside you is shifting. The way you see the world, the way you feel energy, the way you carry your own presence, it's all changing. And it's not just growth. It's not just healing. It's something deeper, something unseen, something sacred. You're not just becoming more spiritual, more aware, more connected. You're becoming the bridge between light and dark, between above and below, between what people run from and what they're secretly seeking. And if you're still watching, still listening, still breathing into what you feel right now, then you already know I'm not talking in metaphors. I'm speaking to something real, something undeniable, something that has been tracking you your whole life, waiting for you to wake up to it. We call it the bridge, chosen one. Not because you chose it, but because it chose you. And now, it's time to understand what that means. Imagine being a being so spiritually encoded that your very existence balances frequencies. You walk into a room and the energy changes. People either feel safe or exposed. You don't even have to speak. You are the shift. But that power doesn't come without weight. It doesn't come without confusion. It doesn't come without cost. Because in order to become the bridge, you first had to be broken. Broken between worlds, between paradigms, between versions of yourself. You had to be stretched so far between extremes that you almost forgot who you were. And that is the first sign you've lived in both extremes and survived them. You've known what it feels like to be lost in the dark, truly lost. Not just sad, not just confused, but disconnected, numb, empty, maybe even angry at the universe itself. You've tasted despair so deep it felt like the spiritual floor beneath you vanished. And yet, you didn't stay there. Somehow, you clawed your way back. Maybe not all at once. Maybe not in a straight line. But you returned. You resurfaced. And when you did, you didn't just bring yourself back. You brought data. You brought understanding. You brought codes. That's what makes a bridge chosen one different from the rest. We don't just go through pain, we decode it. We bring back maps for others to follow. And so here's the second sign: you've always felt the tension between worlds. Not just spiritual and physical, but human and divine, masculine and feminine, light and shadow. You can feel two realities at once in every situation. You can see the beauty and the pain in someone. You can see the higher purpose behind the chaos. You can hear what someone says and also feel what they're not saying. You're a multidimensional translator, a frequency conduit. You can sit with a grieving person and not try to fix them, but hold them. You can walk into a space full of conflict and transmute it not by force, but by being. That's what bridges do. They hold what others can't.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But let me ask you something personal, something no one else may have ever dared to ask you. Have you ever felt like you don't belong anywhere? Like you're too spiritual for the material world, but too grounded for the spiritual one? Like you're too light for the dark places, but too deep for the light ones? That's not confusion. That's initiation. That's the third sign. You've never fully belonged to either side because you were meant to connect them. You're not here to pick a side. You're here to merge them. That's why your life path has never been linear. That's why you've had to learn through direct experience, not just theory. Because you're not here to be a follower. You're here to be a living synthesis. And here's where it gets even more powerful. The fourth sign: your presence activates others, even when you don't mean to. People open up around you. Strangers tell you things they haven't told their closest friends. People feel seen in your company. Or, on the flip side, they feel exposed. Some people avoid you not because you've done anything wrong, but because your energy reflects back their truth. You don't need to say anything. You are the mirror. And that can be a lonely path because the bridge often walks alone until others are ready to cross. But don't mistake solitude for failure. Your isolation was your training ground. Your silence was your sacred classroom. And now the world is preparing to meet you at your frequency. And if you've ever had a moment, just one moment, where you touched something beyond this world, something that made you question everything you thought was real, then you've already experienced the fifth sign. You've touched the veil between dimensions. It could have been a dream, a vision, a death, a near-death, a deep meditation, or just a sudden download that changed everything. You didn't read it in a book. You felt it. You knew it. And even if you can't explain it, it changed you. That moment wasn't random. It was a spiritual flare sent from your higher self, reminding you, you are the bridge. You're not imagining it. You're remembering it. Now, let me ask you this, an answer from the deepest part of your soul. What if the very things you've been trying to fix about yourself were never meant to be fixed because they're the proof of your purpose? The intensity, the sensitivity, the inner conflict, the loneliness, the way you see both sides of everything. What if that's not dysfunction? What if that's design? Because here's the truth no one tells you. The bridge doesn't look like either side. It looks like something entirely new, something the world hasn't seen before, something you are here to become. This is only the beginning. There are still 2 more signs, and they hold the deepest keys to unlocking your true function as a bridge chosen one. But more than that, we're about to explore how to actually live in this role without burning out, without losing yourself, and without compromising your purpose. If you've made it this far, it's not by accident. Something in you is remembering. Not from this lifetime alone, but from many. You've been here before in different forms, under different skies, but always with the same blueprint running through your soul. The blueprint of the bridge chosen one. Now you're waking up to it, and with that awakening comes a sacred burden. One most people will never understand. One that has probably brought you to your knees more times than you can count. But it's time we talk about it, not just the signs, but the weight that comes with them. Because the bridge doesn't just connect light and dark, it holds the tension between them. And that holding takes everything. This is why most bridges break before they rise. They crumble under the pressure of not fitting in. They get lost trying to belong to one side or the other. They numb out, burn out, or break down not because they are weak, but because they were never taught how to carry what they carry. And maybe you've been there too. Maybe you've had days where you felt like a spiritual fraud, days where your light felt dim, your vision blurry, your heart heavy with a pain that didn't even feel like yours. Maybe you've questioned your path, your sanity, your worth. But hear this, that wasn't the end of you. That was your refining. That was life stripping away everything that isn't real so the real you could finally emerge. You were never meant to be like them. You were meant to lead them. Not with superiority, but with integrity. And that's what separates you from the ones who break. You're not here to escape the weight. You're here to alchemize it. That's the 6th sign. You've begun to turn pain into power, not by avoiding the dark, but by learning how to hold it without becoming it. You don't run from your shadow anymore. You sit with it. You listen to it. You learn from it. And in doing so, you become what no one else can be, a safe container for others to do the same. Have you ever noticed how people come to you with their mess, their secrets, their rawest, ugliest truths? It's not because you're easy to talk to. It's because you don't flinch. You don't judge. You've already walked through your own fire, so you're not afraid of theirs. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you necessary. You've become a sacred space in a chaotic world. But that sacred space requires maintenance. It requires grounding. It requires discipline. Because if you don't refill your own well, you'll drown in the needs of others. You'll lose your center. And that's when the bridge collapses, not from lack of love, but from lack of boundaries. So let me ask you something you've probably never been asked. What would it look like if your self-care was as sacred as your service? What if your rest was part of your mission? What if your joy was your protest against the systems that want to keep you small, tired, and dim? You don't have to be the wounded healer anymore. You don't have to destroy yourself to save others. That paradigm is dead. You're not here to be a martyr. You're here to be a model of what's possible when someone embodies their full spectrum, light and dark, sacred and human, divine and raw. And here's the final sign, maybe the most important of all. You're beginning to surrender to the mystery. You're no longer obsessed with answers. You're more interested in alignment. You trust your timing. You trust your energy. You trust that when something doesn't feel right, it's not because you're broken, it's because your soul is saying, not this way. You live by resonance now, not by rules. You don't need a 5-step spiritual routine to feel connected. Sometimes your meditation is sitting in silence. Sometimes it's dancing. Sometimes it's crying on the floor. You've stopped trying to be spiritual and started being real. And that realness is your highest frequency. Being a bridge doesn't mean being perfect. It means being whole. It means holding contradictions within yourself and still choosing to show up. It means knowing you carry sacred codes, even when you feel lost. It means standing between the worlds and saying to both, I see you, I honor you, but I serve something higher, the union of both. So the question becomes, who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when you're not performing spirituality, not pleasing anyone, not chasing light or avoiding dark, just being? That's the version of you this world needs. Not the polished one, the integrated one, the bridge, the channel, the living embodiment of what it means to be both shadow and star. And you're not done yet. In the next part, we'll go deeper into how to actually live this bridge life, how to walk through the world with this power, how to protect it, and how to use it to shift the collective frequency of everything around you. Once you realize you are the bridge, everything changes. Your inner compass recalibrates. What used to seem random or unfair begins to feel like sacred design. You stop asking, why me? And begin asking, how can I serve deeper? But even as you awaken to this new level of embodiment, a new challenge emerges. How do you carry this power without letting it consume you? Because walking as the bridge means walking with open circuits. You feel more, see more, know more. And that kind of perception can either elevate you or unravel you if you don't know how to live from the center of it. The first truth you must accept is this: power without grounding is just potential chaos. And as the bridge, you are a carrier of immense spiritual voltage. You're not just sensing your own emotions, you're picking up the subtle frequencies of others, the room, the land, the collective field. And if you're not rooted in your own energy, you'll start mistaking other people's storms for your own. You'll start leaking your life force into places that don't nourish you. You'll confuse empathy with obligation. And that's when burnout creeps in, disguised as spiritual fatigue. So how do we stay rooted while remaining open? The answer isn't to shut down, it's to anchor in. You must become obsessed with your own inner sanctuary. Your practices, whether it's breathwork, stillness, journaling, movement, or simply being in nature, are not luxuries. They are lifelines. They are what keep your bridge from collapsing under the weight of the world. You're not here to carry everything. You're here to transmute. And transmutation requires clarity. It requires stillness beneath the noise, like a mountain beneath the storm. And here's something most people won't tell you. Boundaries are spiritual armor. As the bridge, you are naturally porous. But being porous doesn't mean being penetrated by everything. You must learn to discern between what is yours to hold and what is simply passing through. Not every wound you witness is yours to heal. Not every person you meet is yours to save. Sometimes your role is simply to witness, to hold space, to stand in your frequency so fully that others remember their own. That is power. That is service. That is enough. There will be days when you feel invisible. Days when you wonder if anyone sees you, understands you, mirrors you. That's part of the design. Because the bridge stands between worlds, not fully belonging to either. But solitude is not your enemy. It is your initiation. It is in the spaces of silence that your true guidance comes. It is in the sacred aloneness that you become a clear channel. So don't curse your isolation, consecrate it. Use it as fuel. Use it as fire. Use it to remember that your relationship with spirit must always come before your relationship with the world. Now let me ask you a question that might just change everything. What would your life look like if you stopped managing your energy out of fear and started directing it with devotion? What if you stopped reacting to everything around you and started radiating from within? That's the shift. That's the moment the bridge stops wobbling and becomes a pillar. You're no longer pulled in every direction, you're rooted in your purpose. You're not seeking approval, you're embodying truth. You're not trying to be safe, you're choosing to be sovereign. And sovereignty doesn't mean isolation. It means interdependence. It means finding your tribe. Because yes, the bridge walks alone, but only until it recognizes the others. And there are others. Souls like you who've been hidden in plain sight, carrying codes, walking between dimensions, waiting for the signal. And that signal is you. Every time you show up in your full frequency, you become a beacon. You become a rallying cry to the others. It's time. We're here. Together, we rise. But rising doesn't mean escaping. It means integrating. It means being fully human and fully divine. It means crying and laughing and doubting and rejoicing all in the same breath. It means dancing with your shadow instead of denying it. It means letting your soul lead, even when your mind doesn't understand. That's what it means to walk as the bridge, not to have all the answers, but to walk in the mystery with trust. And when you live this way, something miraculous happens. Your life becomes medicine. Your energy becomes a healing frequency. You start to change rooms just by entering them. Not because you're trying to be anything but because you're being everything you are. Whole, honest, holy. So here's the revelation. Walking as the bridge is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up again and again with your heart open and your roots deep. It's about choosing love when fear would be easier. Choosing truth when silence would be safer. Choosing self when the world wants you to disappear. And the more you live like this, the more the universe conspires to support you. Synchronicities increase. The right people appear. Doors open without effort. Not because you've hacked the system, but because you've become the system's upgrade. You are the new template, the new architecture, the new path forward. And that's where we're headed next. In the final part, we're going to explore what happens when you fully step into this role not as a dream, but as a destiny. We'll talk about purpose, impact, and how your very existence as the bridge is rewriting the future of humanity. There is a quiet revolution happening across the planet. It's not on the news. It's not trending, but it's real. It's deep. It's undeniable. And it's being led by you. Not by force, not by fame, but by frequency. You, the bridge chosen one, are part of an ancient wave of souls who came here not to escape the world but to rewrite it. To rewire the spiritual blueprint of humanity from the inside out. And you're not doing it with grand gestures or loud declarations. You're doing it by being who you truly are, fully, fiercely, and fearlessly. You're not just healing your own wounds, you're disrupting generational patterns. You're not just making better choices, you're breaking ancestral curses. You're not just walking a path, you're creating one that has never existed before. And that's why it's been so hard. That's why you've doubted yourself. That's why there were years where nothing made sense. Because you weren't just learning to live, you were learning to build a new dimension inside an old one. That's no small task. That's sacred architecture. And now the blueprint is activating. The world is shifting, and it's not just because of technology or politics or social movements. It's shifting because consciousness is shifting. And yes, you are a living node in that grid. Every time you choose truth over comfort, you upgrade the collective field. Every time you hold space for someone's pain without absorbing it, you strengthen the bridge. Every time you bring light into a dark place without making the dark wrong, you rewire the program. You're not here to escape the matrix. You are here to recode it. But let's take it deeper. You're not just a bridge between light and dark, you're a bridge between timelines, between the wounded past and the awakened future, between what humanity has been and what humanity is becoming. And that's not poetic, that's physics. Your very energy is a portal. When people are around you, they shift, they remember, they align. And the more you align with your true self, the more powerful that effect becomes. Not because you are better, but because you are clearer, cleaner, more attuned to the original frequency of your soul. So I ask you now, what if your greatest contribution to this world has nothing to do with what you do, but everything to do with who you are becoming? What if your presence, your integrity, your healing, your alignment is the exact medicine the collective needs? Can you feel the truth in that? Can you feel how every moment you choose to rise instead of retreat, speak instead of shrink, love instead of numb, you are anchoring a new earth? You see, the old systems are crumbling not because we're fighting them, but because they simply can't hold the frequency we now carry. This isn't a war, it's a replacement. Old templates of domination, fear, exploitation, and control are dissolving because we are no longer feeding them. We're feeding something else now, something rooted in resonance, wholeness, truth, and love, and we're doing it quietly, consistently, from within. That's the power of a bridge. It doesn't shout. It holds. It holds. It holds. It connects. And in doing so, it changes everything. So what's next? You keep walking. You keep trusting. You keep refining your vibration until your life becomes a living signal to the others. You don't need to convince anyone. You don't need to convert anyone. You just need to become the clearest version of yourself and let that clarity ripple into the world like a song only the awakened can hear. And know this, your time is not coming. It's here. The alignment you've been waiting for is already happening. The support you've been praying for is already circling you. The tribe that speaks your language is already awakening. You didn't miss it. You're not late. You're right on time. Because the future isn't something you walk into. It's something you activate from within. So breathe, stand tall, and remember the truth that brought you here. You are not just a seeker. You are not just a survivor. You are not just a healer. You are the bridge, and the world has already started crossing.